And welcome, listeners, to Light Speaks. I'm your podcast host, Roshni Sharma Fleming, and I'm the CEO and founder of Stillfire Healing Inc. here in Toronto, Ontario. And I followed my heart with this guest, and my heart never steers me wrong. I am welcoming Brad Walsh. And he actually lives in my town, which is in my city, which is even more phenomenal. And so I had to have him on here for Light Speak. So you're in for a treat. He talks about some amazing things, and we're going to get right into it. So welcome, Brad.
Thank you so much, Roshni. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for following your heart and listening to your heart and reaching out and connecting with me on LinkedIn. And then we have just started to blossom our connection and our into friendship. And I recently had you on my podcast, so now I'm here on yours, and I'm just happy to be here with you. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Yes, I think I liken our connection to yin and yang. I work with women's voices and
Hmm.
amplifying women. And you being a male is
Hmm.
fascinating because you also talk about that in your work in
Hmm.
empowerography.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit more about empowerography and how your how you got into that.
So you want me to go way back? Okay. Well, my journey started with photography. I am a photographer first and foremost. Photography is my first love, my first passion. I took a class in high school way, way back. Now I'm dating myself. I learned how to shoot on black and white film.
Oh.
So I learned all the magic in the dark room and developing my own images. And so we'll fast forward a few years, and my thing, I love to photograph architecture and landscapes. I never wanted to photograph people. I had no interest. And so we fast forward again another few years, and I ended up working in corporate for 12 and a half years at one of the big four accounting firms
Mhm.
as an audiovisual tech. And about 3 or 4 years into my career there, I was tasked with the responsibility of doing the corporate headshots. That's where I fell in love with photographing people, because I loved having that connection and that one-on-one time with each person as they sat for their portrait. I could connect with them, learn a bit about who they are, what they do. And then about 3 years following that, I was introduced through a mutual friend to a boudoir photographer who was based in Florida. And I fell in love with her work and the mission and the message behind that genre of photography, with what you can help women accomplish in terms of body acceptance, self-love, self-confidence. And I ended up mentoring with her for 6 months. And when I was done my mentorship, it was just one of those light bulb moments. I knew that that's the direction I've got to take my photography business when I
Wow.
do finally make the leap to photography, which full time as a business, as an entrepreneur, which didn't happen for another 6 years. But all the while, I was continuing to exhibit and sell my art at art shows around Toronto. I was also, with this newfound skill set, working on my skills and learning how to use studio lighting, because I'd never used studio lighting before. I was always shooting outdoors, so I was using natural light. Also learning about posing and all of these beautiful things, all the while I was still working full time. And when I finally leapt into photography full time, that's really where my journey into the whole women's empowerment world began, was when I jumped into photography full time. And I was still doing headshots, but I was also focusing on boudoir photography, women's empowerment photography. And so about 2 years into my career as an entrepreneur, as an entrepreneurial photographer, I mean, I love the work that I get to do with women as a photographer. There is something so beautiful and magical about facilitating and witnessing what happens in a 90-minute session and seeing these women meet themselves sometimes for the very first time in a photography
Mhm.
session, because they're getting to see who they truly are and see their true beauty within and without, the essence of who they are. And being able to give that gift to another human being is one of the most powerful and beautiful things to witness and to be part of. I liken it to watching a caterpillar transform into a butterfly. It is one of the most beautiful things to see a woman fully step into her confidence and own who she truly is. But again, to be able to give that gift to another human is so powerful and beautiful. But also at that same time, I felt like I wanted to have a bigger impact. I wanted to reach more people. And I thought, how am I going to do this? So I thought, why don't I take the values and the purpose and the mission of the work I do as a photographer and transplant that or turn that into a podcast where I focus the podcast solely on amplifying and elevating women's voices. Now, at the time, and even now, I don't know of any other platform out there in the world that is hosted by a man that solely focuses on amplifying and elevating women's voices. So I thought, this is perfect. I can carve out my own little niche in the podcast world. And so I reached out to 7 or 8 friends of mine, women who I had met through my photography journey, and I explained the idea behind the platform. And of course, it was in its infancy back then. That was 6 years ago. And I asked them if they would help me get it off the ground by letting me interview them. Thankfully, they said yes. I have to give a disclaimer here. I had never even listened to a podcast in my entire life when I started in powerography. I had no
Sure.
idea. I had never interviewed anyone. This was my first time. I had my, at the time, so that would have been 2017. I had like a 6 or 7 year old MacBook, and I had a headset with a mic attached to it and a free Zoom account. And that's how I started in powerography, was with those tools that I already had. And I jumped in, but we fast forward a little bit. My photography business started to pick up traction. I was getting more inquiries and more bookings. I thought, okay, well, I have to shift my focus and my energy back to the business 100%. That's why I left corporate. So I shelved the podcast. I now refer to that as my dress rehearsal era of empowerography. And I focused on the business. We then again, fast forward a little bit, March of 2020. We all know how that played out around the world.
Oh, yes.
Yes, and that rendered my photography business inoperable. I obviously couldn't be booking photo shoots. So I thought, well, you got two choices here. You can either sit around and complain and commiserate about what's going on with over half the world is doing, or you could go over here and go through door number 2 and decide to use this and see this as a gift that we've all been given around the world, and use that gift of time to put good out into the world. The world could use it now. So I thought I might as well reignite the podcast. So I went through door number 2. I started reaching out to women on social media, explaining the idea behind the platform. Of course, the ideas had brewed and evolved a little bit since the dress rehearsal. And the response was incredible. Women were so happy to hear that a man had created a platform such as this. And this was the real first putting it out there for the world. And the response was amazing. And so it turned into this thing where the women I was interviewing were saying, Brad, I've got a friend, I'll connect you. Brad, I know someone, she'd be a great guest. To where we now have this incredibly beautiful community. The podcast turns 6 in a week. A week today, the podcast will be
Congrats.
6. Thank you.
Congrats.
It has been 6 of the best years of my life
Ooh,
because of all the incredible women that I have had the opportunity and the honor to sit down and share in their stories and their journeys. I've interviewed over 800 women now, and I have completely evolved as a man. I am not the same man I was 6 years ago. I have
wow.
learned so much about myself, about women, about so many things in the world that I never even would have thought of looking into or studying. Or this has been probably the best education I could have gotten, and it's been free. It's been absolutely amazing
Yeah.
just to sit and share in these women's stories. And so, for me, this is more than just a podcast. This is a global movement. I want 1 million women involved in this platform. I want chapters of empowerography set up all over the world, women running those chapters and guiding and mentoring other women and supporting other women. I want this to be a women's empowerment conference that travels around the world. I want a board of directors and all of these things. And at the foundation of all of it are my mother and my grandmother. They are the reason for all this. They are the inspiration for it. It's my nod to them, my tip of the hat, my respect to them for all that they did for me. My mom left my biological father when I was 10. He was running around on her having an affair. And back in those days, of course, women stayed home to raise the children while the husband was the one working. So when I look back on that, the fact that she had the strength and the courage to stand up after 15 years of marriage and say, no more, I don't have to put up with this. I'm taking my boys and we're leaving. And
Absolutely.
that's exactly what we did. We left with nothing but the clothes on our back. We moved into a 1 bedroom apartment where my grandparents happened to be living. And my mom had to get a job after being out of work for 10 years because she sacrificed to stay at home and raise us. And so while she was at work, my grandmother would step in. So for me, those 2 women are my heart and my soul. I wouldn't be the man I am today without those 2 women. And of course, the over 800 women that I've interviewed over the past 6 years have also contributed to who I am as a man today. And I am so incredibly grateful to every one of those women who have welcomed me into their space to share in their stories and trusted me with their stories and the vulnerability. And so it has been such an incredible journey, and there's so much more work to do.
Oh, wow. Your passion is palpable. And I just want, for our listeners, he's not AI. He's a real human being. He's a real human being. You can even check it. Like he breathes and he drinks coffee and makes lattes. He is a real human being, people. So I'm just letting you
Yes.
know, there are men out there who can understand and step forward in their power through inviting women into their life and learning about it. Like you don't get that in the curriculum in the school board. You get it from
No.
real life stuff. And you and I both know that once you start opening yourself up, there's a whole new world out there that is going to welcome you with open arms. So my next question is,
Hmm.
do you have an ego?
No, not at all. Not at all. I am the most down to earth, chill, relaxed person. I don't I struggle with self-confidence. I struggle with all of these things. I mean,
Mm.
I've learned with the imposter syndrome and I struggle with comparisonitis, but I've learned over the past, I would say, since I started my photography journey as an entrepreneur, I've learned, I've gathered the tools and learned how to use them to, especially with the comparisonitis thing, because that was a huge struggle for me when I jumped into the photography world full time, is I was always comparing myself to other photographers. Why am I not where they are? And all of these different things. And through the guidance of a mentor that I had, he taught me to how to quiet those gremlins when they pop into your head. And we all struggle with it, and I still
Sure,
struggle with it from time to
sure.
time. I've just
Yes.
gathered the tools to learn how to turn the volume down a lot quicker than I used to be able to. But it's been a hell of a struggle, and I still struggle with self-confidence sometimes from time to time. And I'm a human. Of course I'm going to go through these things, but I've gathered enough tools along the way, and I have a great support system in place to help me when I do go into those spaces, to help myself get out of them much, much quicker. So no, there's no ego here at all.
I
At all.
love that. And I like that you're so your candor around your journey is that anybody can relate to that when you
Hmm.
have to really take a look at yourself and you're doing this work. All this extra kind of darkness it always bubbles up, and it's what tools you use in order
Hmm.
to manage it and to rise above it. Can you expand a little bit more on your tools for us,
Yeah.
for the guys out there? Because I
Yeah.
don't think it's spoken of. I know, being a healer myself, I have tools,
Hmm.
right? That's, yeah,
Yeah.
woo. I'm going to do this. I'm going to light this. I'm going to open this, and right. But guys don't talk about that. So what do you
Mm.
do?
Well, I'll start with the comparisonitis one because this was the one that struck me, one of the most, anyways. Um, I got to a point where I realized, and this takes work, it takes time, but I got to the point where I realized my only competition is me.
Yes.
As long as I'm improving. So I would go back, speaking of the photography work, I would go back and look at my photography work from 20, 30 years ago. And I would laugh because I'd think, I can't believe I thought this was good at that point. But again, it was all that was what I was equipped with. Those are the tools I was equipped with. Those were the skill sets I was equipped with at that time. So, yeah, I thought it was good at the time. When I look back now, I was like, oh, I can't believe I thought that stuff was good. But I've evolved and I've grown as a photographer and as an artist. So, of course, it's not going to look as good as the stuff I do now. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of reminding yourself where you came from and realizing that there is no other competition. You cannot compare your 1 year journey to someone else's 5 year journey. That's apples and oranges. You can't do it. And listen, no one else is you. So I realized that no one else has my eyes. No one sees an image when they look through a camera the way I do.
Mhm.
Nobody on the planet can. I guarantee if you gave three photographers the same image to shoot, they'd all capture it differently in some way, shape, or form. No, those three images would not look the same. They'd look different because each photographer views that image differently and sees something different. So they're going to create an image that looks different from each other because
Yeah.
we don't have the same eyes. So I think it's a matter of realizing that no one else is you. No one else has your skill sets. No one else can serve my clients like I do because they're not me. That's your unique skill set. That's one of your unique skill sets. That's one of your superpowers. So don't compare yourself to other people. It does you no good. It's of no service. Comparisonitis is the thief of joy.
Yes.
Just focus on you. And as long as you can see an improvement from year over year or month to month or week to week, that's all you have to worry about. You cannot compare your journey to someone else's because you're two different people and you're in different spaces. You're on a different timeline. So that's the first thing. Don't compare yourself. It's not going to
Yes.
serve you.
Mhm.
Um, as far as all the other stuff, self-confidence and all of those things, I have what I call my MMJ practice. So movement, meditation, and journaling. So every morning,
Wow.
every single morning, winter included, I get out for a walk first thing in the morning. I have a dog, so I take my pup out for a walk. So I have no choice. I have to get out. So that's a
Sure.
good thing. It forces me to get outside and move my body. So that is the first thing, movement. Get your body moving, get out into nature, clear your head, clear your thoughts. Meditation is huge. It helps to ground you and all the things. And of course, I mean, I use Insight Timer. Insight Timer is a great meditation tool. It is free, completely free. And there are tens of thousands of meditations on there. Whatever kind you're looking for, it's there. Abundance,
Wow.
minds, it's all there. And then I journal. Um, I've been using the 5 minute journal.
Yes.
So it's a format every day. Your three things you're grateful for, um, what would make today great, an affirmation, and then in the evening you journal as well. What did you learn today? Um, I can't remember what the other thing is, but anyways, I journal every day as well. So I have to be honest, I fell off my practice for quite a while, probably a couple months, but I have now gotten back into it. I just went out and got my a new 5 minute journal because I had filled my last one up. Went out and got that this week. So I'm back on the horse again with my practice. And so those are the things that I use, my MMJ practice. And I always go back and look at my previous work and I don't compare myself to other people. And if I
Mhm.
do catch my, and self-awareness is another big thing. You got to be able to catch yourself when those things happen. Ground in, sit with yourself. Take the time to sit with yourself and ask yourself, why am I going here? Why is my mind going here? Sit and reflect. A lot of introspection and reflection has been done over the last years, but for me, especially last year, around the end of the year, the last quarter of the year into this year, ton of introspection and reflection. So take
Sure.
the time to sit with yourself as well. Slow down. There is so much power in that pause. Spend the time with yourself and reflect. If you
Absolutely.
catch yourself wandering and get when those feelings of negativity or imposter syndrome or any of that comes in, catch it and sit with yourself and ask, is this really mine? Where is it coming from? So spend the time with yourself and be reflective.
Absolutely. Such a beautiful toolkit that you have that is actually universal for male and female, but you're
Mhm.
actually you're actually deconstructing and confronting the ego while you're speaking. And I'm like, yep, ting, like check, 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 check. Because you are actually doing something that is counterintuitive to what the male ego is traditionally known for, which is
Mhm.
fighting and building systems, and it's
Yeah.
just doing it and amplifying the male voice and the systems
Mhm.
that we are trying to, I think we're going to get into that,
Mhm.
trying to reimagine
Mhm.
around female voices and making it more universal. So my next question is, so thank you
Can
for,
I just say one more
yes,
thing? I
yeah,
don't want this to sound like it's easy because it's not. I struggle with it
well
too. So
said, yeah,
by
yeah, yeah,
no means am I saying that this is easy to do. No
nope,
way, shape, or form. I
no, it
still
isn't,
struggle with it and I still
yeah.
go through those bouts of imposter syndrome and comparisonitis, but gathering the tools along the way will help you. And it's not easy. So I just want to put that out there that I'm not by no means am I saying this is easy to do at all.
No, and thanks for saying that too, because you make light of it and you talk about it, but when you're actually in the work, it's pretty dark and it can
Hmm.
be, and sometimes, and you again, really real about it and looking at when you fall off the rails for a couple of months, what happens then? Like, do you slip back into saboteur? Do you slip back
Hmm.
into compare?
Yeah.
comparisonitis.
Comparisonitis. Yeah.
Never heard that word. You heard it
hmm
here first, people.
hmm
And so you are looking at yourself, and guys don't always talk about that, like what you
No.
do, and you're resting and you're talking about stillness. That's
hmm
not easy stuff to do, because
No.
you're like, hey, oh, here's the mirror. This is what I am right now in my
Yes.
lifetime. And you're like,
hmm
oh, well, you either stay in your fear, or
hmm
you work around it and you open the door and say, hey, what else is out there? Like, so you
hmm
look outside of your blinders, which I think is phenomenal, but not easy work. And I like
No.
that you said that. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that you said
hmm
that. You defined allyship, because this, again, to me, is a new realm, because
hmm
there is a lot of social media around, I guess, protecting the male ego.
hmm
There is a documentary called Inside the Manosphere,
Okay.
and it is a very, very yang energy,
hmm
protecting men
hmm
with their voices, but keeping them in their traditional sense, in their traditional male ego. So your allyship
hmm
is like the Pac-Man that will eat those little manosphere things, right? Like a wow, wow. I used to play
hmm
Pac-Man. I get
Me
it.
too.
So you, and so you're that Pac-Man now, and you're like, hey,
hmm
I'm going to talk about allyship. So can you
hmm
explain what that is? This is, like I said, listeners, he's a real human being. I'm just letting you know, just throwing it again. He's a real human being doing some real stuff. So listen in.
I think allyship, I mean, there's many different facets to it, of course, but I think it's
Yeah.
allowing women the space and perm giving them the permission to be who they truly are instead of stepping into this like women have had to do for so long. And we'll talk about corporate in particular. They've had to adopt this male energy because they're not accepted or welcomed into the entrepreneur or sorry the corporate world as women. They've got to shift who they are. They've got to wear masks. So I think it's part of it is allowing women the space to be who they truly are, to step into their femininity, to adopt that feminine energy. I mean, we all as human beings have both masculine and feminine energy within us, men and women. So I think a big part of it is giving women the space to step into who they truly are as feminine energy. And as women, I think it's also men letting women know that we are here to support you and stand beside you shoulder to shoulder. We have to do this together. There's no other way forward. So it's advocating for women. It's advocating for women's voices. That's part of allyship. When you're in a meeting in corporate and a woman comes up with an idea, don't talk over her. Let her finish. Let her talk about the idea. Don't take credit for the idea. It's the woman's idea. So it's giving women the space to have their voices heard and supporting them and cheering them on and letting them know that you are there to support them as a male ally.
Yes.
Those are the biggest pieces of allyship, in my opinion, is just supporting women in their roles and advocating for them. If you think this woman in your company needs a promotion because she's working her ass off, advocate for her. Speak up. It's
Absolutely.
speaking up on behalf of women. That's another piece. Speak up on behalf of the women. These are all pieces of allyship. This is what we're meant to, in my opinion, there is no way forward in this world in terms of having the impact that we want to have as way showers, light workers, whatever term you want to use, unless we come together as human beings, because all the men in the world can't do it by themselves, nor can all the women. It's impossible. The only way forward is to come together as humans. We need each other as men and women. We need each other. We do. And I'm not talking need in a Jerry Maguire kind of way. I'm just talking about in terms of support. It's the only way forward to create impact, to raise the vibration of the consciousness is to work together as human beings. The patriarchy, yes, absolutely. It has held women down. It has kept women down. But I find that we're so busy now pointing the finger at each other. Oh, it's the
Hmm.
patriarchy's fault. Now the pendulum swung too far this way and women want nothing to do with men and they're angry at men. That is not going to get us anywhere. We're not going to progress. We're not going to advance in society if we don't stop pointing our fingers at each other. Accept what the patriarchy, sorry, acknowledge what the patriarchy has done, but leave it there. It's done. It's over. Let's move forward. Let's create a better world together. That's the only way we're going to do it, is to create a better world together as human beings. Let's shed the labels even. Why do we need to label everything? It makes everyone feel
Yes.
comfortable. That's why we have to use labels, or that's why
Sure.
people choose to use labels. But
Yeah.
let's shed the masculine versus feminine. Let's stop this warring back and forth between the sexes. And let's just come together as humans and lift each other up and cheerlead each other and support each other. Let's get more men stepping up and letting women know that we're allies, standing shoulder to shoulder with each other and supporting each other. We are all here on this planet to be in and of service to one another. Whether that's a
Yes.
man supporting another man, or man supporting women, or women supporting other women, let's do
Yes.
this together. It's the only way.
It is the only way. And you are bringing up something that is so, so important, that this is the reality that we're dealing with. We are in a divisive type
Mm-hmm.
of we are in a divisive type of state right now,
Mm-hmm.
where we're, like you said, pointing fingers, fear, whatever is going back and forth here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to work. And balancing each other physically, metaphysically, spiritually, emotionally is not difficult. But the difficulty that that came up for me is that you need to have a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say another word, but that's not.
I know what you're going to say.
I'm sorry. Yes, divided by screens, but united in thought.
Yes.
And so you have to have a lot of courage to step up in a corporate boardroom to say,
Mm-hmm.
hey, uh, Barbara came
Mm-hmm.
up with that idea. Look at her skill set.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she deserves the promotion. So where does a male actually step into his divine power and his ability to support women with his voice, which is, I think, one of the first things that you could do is just
Mm-hmm.
speak up. Aren't you isolating yourself?
No, I think for men, this is probably this should be one of the biggest thought or first thoughts. You as a man, you have a mother, you have a grandmother, maybe you have a sister, maybe you have daughters. Put yourself in their shoes. Would you want think about your daughter. Let's look at men and as fathers and their daughters or mothers, because every single man on the planet has a mother. So you have a female figure in your life, a mother and a grandmother, or maybe
Sure,
if they've passed, you've had them in your life. Would
sure.
you want your mother, grandmother, or daughters to be silenced or have their voices silenced or have be shut down in their jobs, in their career? No, of course you wouldn't. That's your mother, your grandmother, or your daughters. You're going, so think about that. Put
Mm,
yourself in their shoes and think of what women have had to go through and what they've had to deal with and use your voice. You have a voice. Men listen to other men more so than men listening to women. So
sure.
speak up, advocate. And this, I think it starts with conversation like we're having today.
Yeah.
I think I've said this for the longest time. Conversation is the catalyst for change. So that's where we need to start is having the conversations about this type of thing. But I think that that's one of the first and most important thoughts is just think about as a male, would you want your mother or your grandmother to have gone through that? Would you want your daughters, if you have daughters, to go through that? No, of course you wouldn't. You would advocate for them. At least you should, as a father or as a son or as a grandson, you should be advocating for those women in your life.
Sure.
So why wouldn't you do the same in the corporate space? These are women. If they've got great ideas and you think they deserve, why wouldn't you use your voice? You have a voice. And like I said, in the boardroom, men are listened to more so than women. So use your voice. You have it. Help people. This is what I'm saying. The biggest thing is we are here to be in and of service to one another, whether you're a woman or a man.
Yeah.
Stand up and use your voice. We all have one. And some
Yes.
aren't so good at using it. So if you can advocate for others, why wouldn't you?
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think the first thought is think about the women in your life because every single
Mm,
male has women in their lives. So
Sure.
think about that first and foremost. And would you want your daughters or your mother or your grandmother to deal with or go through that shit? No, you wouldn't. You would advocate for them. You would help them and support them. So why can't you do it for other women that aren't your family? If they
Yes.
still deserve that advocacy, they still deserve to be heard and the opportunity to express their opinions and their thoughts and their gifts. Support them. This is why we're here.
Wouldn't a male then, a man, a male, anything that they have to address, they would have to do a heck of a lot of healing in
Hmm.
order to, there could be a masculine wounding, there
Yeah.
could be a female wounding,
Yes.
there could be
Hmm.
ancestral or generational
Yeah.
wounding. And some men are not prepared or are not aware. You brought up
Hmm.
awareness is even more powerful. They're not
Hmm.
aware of the work that they need to do. How does a man actually come to the realization that they need to do the work?
That's a really tough one because I
I
was raised
know.
very differently. I was raised by two women, so all of these things that and that's not to say that I haven't had struggles in life and all of these things, but I think I've always been surrounded by women. So
Yeah.
it I had a very different upbringing. So I guess it's taking the time to sit with yourself. This is where it starts, is you have to sit with yourself. And I
Sure.
know it's uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like that. They don't want to sit with themselves because guess
No.
what? They're scared to look within because they're scared of what they'll find. But in order to become a better person, we have to look within, and we have to sit with ourselves and reflect and do the introspective work and sit with ourselves and figure out, okay, again, back to what I was saying earlier with my MMJ and being introspective, and you have to take the time to sit with yourself. So how do we get men to do that? I guess workshops. We have to teach men about mindfulness. We have to teach men about self-awareness because not everyone is that evil. We're all on different journeys and we've all had different experiences that have led us to where we are today. As you said, there's wounding, there's women wounds, there's mother wounds, there's all these different things that men could have gone through, even father wounds, like it.
Sure.
So I think first and foremost, it's the awareness piece, but I think this is where corporate is lacking, is with training and personal development. This is where we need
Yes.
to. And so I am personally working on a program to bring into corporate for allyship to teach men how to be better how to be better allies. But I think that corporate needs to get on board and find the funding for personal development programs for all their employees. I was just speaking with a woman the other day on an interview, and we were talking about how women are punished for going on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Why women are 50% of the population? What the hell are we doing? They are the
Yes.
only ones who can physically give and scientifically give birth. Why are we punishing them for something that is helping to procreate the human race? Like, so I
Yes.
think all around, I think corporate needs to do a better job in terms of providing personal development training for the men and the women. For the women should not be punished for going off on maternity leave. This is
No.
part of human nature. This is how we grow the human race. So why
Yes.
are they being punished for that? And again, the men need help. The awareness needs to be brought around for them that it is okay. We are emotive beings. We're humans. We have emotions. This is part of life. This is part of our journey as humans. And it's okay to feel them. It's okay to have them. And this ties into sitting with ourselves. When we feel that sadness or that anger or that frustration, sit with it and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? Where is this coming from? Is it even mine? Because more often than not, all
Sure.
the lack in confidence and the comparison, they're not yours. Someone else has planted those within your head. Maybe it was your teacher back in public school. Maybe it was one of your parents. Maybe who knows? But it's about the awareness and sitting with yourself and figuring out, okay, is this really mine? Where is this coming from? So I think that self-awareness is the start of it, but I think we need to do a better job in corporate in terms of training our men. This is we're speaking about men specifically now. Um, to help them with that self-awareness piece and the mindfulness piece. And we need to shift the culture in corporate.
Yes.
So I
Yes,
think that,
absolutely.
and for those men who aren't working in corporate, take the time to sit with yourself. You have to get some kind of practice, meditation, journaling. All of these things will help you get to that
Yes.
point. And if you need therapy, go for therapy.
Yeah. I I get you heard
It
you
doesn't have
have
to be,
permission, people. You
yes,
have permission. You can choose therapy. There's no shame in therapy.
no.
And you heard it right here. Here's your ticket. Brad's your ticket. Just here you go. You
It,
can go and do that. And I'm glad you said that.
it
Good.
also doesn't have to be the traditional talk therapy. There are so
No.
many modalities out there to help. So
Yes.
if
Yeah.
talking, I mean, I've talked to so many women about talk therapy, and a lot of them are of the mind that why am I going to sit there and continually talk and loop and loop and loop and loop? There's other modalities to use. So if talk therapy is not your thing, and hey, talk therapy has its place. If that works for you, great, do it. If
Yeah.
not, there are many, many other modalities out there that can help you on that healing process. And I just want to stress too with the healing journey, it is not linear. It's not one and done. You go for
Absolutely.
a year of talk therapy or a year and you're finished. Okay, I'm healed now. That's not the way it works. You have
No.
to, and we have to continually do the work on ourselves. It's never ending. There's no destination. It's a journey. So keep that in
Yes.
mind too. It's not a one and done thing. You don't go to therapy and talk it all out and then you're healed. That's not the way it works. We have to continually work because we are continually evolving and growing as human beings.
Absolutely.
But it
And
is
here's
okay. There's no shame in therapy.
there's no shame in that. And I think opening that door is just, and being aware that that's available to you. And there are modalities available to you that would sit well
Hmm.
with, and it's what the phrase that's coming up for me right now. And I'm not making light of it, but just be your own broski. Like at the end,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that's what just came, and just be your own broski. Sit down with yourself.
Hmm.
If you need something, a little libation or something, whatever
Hmm.
helps you to sit with yourself and say,
Hmm.
I need to do some work, or I don't need to do work, or I need to build some awareness around myself. Be your own broski. You cannot go out into the world and identify yourself as a male if you don't know truly who you're all about. You'll adopt identities from everyone else. And
Hmm.
as we all do, because that's what the ego does, right? We
Hmm.
survive, we thrive, we're like, oh, I like this, I like that. I'm
Hmm.
by no means not perfect, but I know that sitting with yourself and being your own best friend is a
Hmm.
really powerful way to understand and learn about who you are truly.
Well, the funny thing is we tell women all the time, self-love, self-love. You got to love yourself. You got to love yourself. Well, the same goes for men. We have to love ourselves.
Yeah.
It all starts at home with us. We are the foundation for absolutely everything. And again, I'm not saying it's easy. It is not. Believe me, I know it's
No.
not easy and it is constant work, but you have to start at home with you. You are the foundation. Start with yourself. We can't just sit there and point the finger and tell women you need to love yourself. You need, because that's always the conversation, right? Women struggle with self-confidence and
Yeah.
self-esteem and all these. So do men. It's not a women only thing. It
Well
is a
said.
human thing. Period. Men
Well
just
said.
hide it. Women
Yes.
don't. Women don't typically hide it. They talk about it. Men don't
Yes.
because of conditioning. We have been conditioned and brought up to believe that we are not supposed to show emotion. We are not supposed to cry. We are not supposed to do this, 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 this. Yes, we are. We're humans. Of course we are. This is not a woman only problem. It is a
No.
human being problem. So it's okay if you're struggling as a man. This
Yes.
is life. This is part. It's not easy. Life is not easy. Life is
No.
beautiful. Absolutely. It is what you make it. So take the time, invest in yourself. You are your greatest asset.
Sure.
Invest in yourself. And
Yes.
that could just, it doesn't even have to be financial. I'm just saying, invest the time in yourself, sit with yourself, reflect, Get outside and just walk, journal, meditate, whatever you need to do. There are so many tools and modalities out there that can help you find what works for you. Not everything is going to work for you. So
No.
find what does and use that tool to help yourself, because you will then, that will ripple out to everybody around, the women in your life, your friends, your family, your community, everybody.
Yes. Yes.
That's it.
Yes. So, ooh, some powerful stuff. So, what is it like to be a man? I'm just,
What is it like to be a man?
yeah, like what's it like, especially this day and age, as the
Hmm.
systems are being challenged. We have patriarchy, we have
Hmm.
political figures who are not so political. They're like
Hmm.
almost radical. And this is not a political podcast, but
No.
whatever, whoever pops into your mind, maybe that's the one. But you're like, what's it like to be a male or man these days? And again, this is not if you identify as being a male or you
Hmm.
identify as this is not that type of
No.
delineation, but because it's you and I trying to make
Hmm.
bridges here and
Hmm.
to build a bridge, is what is it like to be a guy
I
these
think men are
days?
struggling right now, to be honest, because as I said earlier, the pendulum was over here for so long with the patriarchy and what women had to deal with. Now we've swung too far, in my opinion, anyways, and through conversations I'm having with friends and men. And I think the pendulum, even women I'm hearing this from, the pendulum has swung too far the other way, where, as I said, women don't want anything to do with men. They're angry at men. They hate men, all of these different things. I've had multiple conversations with friends who, as men, struggle with figuring out what the hell it is that women want. A friend of mine was saying, women say they want, well, okay, so let's just say there's the standard thing for men where you're supposed to be the protector, the provider, all of these things. That goes back centuries, right? Men are the protectors, men are the providers. And then we've got women saying that they want a vulnerable, sensitive man. So a friend of mine we were talking about this a little while back. He's like, okay, they want the protector, they want the, okay, fine. And at the same time, they're saying they want the vulnerability, they want the emotional, the softness as well. And as soon as you show that, boom, they're gone. They bolt the other way. Well, this isn't working out for me. I don't really like this. So it's like, well, what the hell? This is what you asked for, and I'm giving it to you, and now you don't want it. So I think there's wounds on both sides, right? And we
Absolutely.
need to work on ourselves. Again, it starts within us. So I think it's right now, it's a confusing time for men, for some men. They don't know what women are expecting, what women want. So I think, again, let's go back to the basics, communication and
Ooh,
listening. Listening is,
ooh,
I think listening is the most important thing. We need to have open, honest conversation with each other.
sure.
We need to, and this is something that I've been developing and working on too. Um, I call it heart-led listening, the HEAR method. So H stands for holding space, E stands for empathize without ego, A stands for ask questions, be curious, and R stands for respond with presence. We need to learn to listen. We need
Hmm.
to go into conversations with an open heart, an open mind, and open ears. We have two ears and one mouth for a reason. Use these ears that you have more than you
Yes.
use your mouth. So often people go into conversations that with the mindset that they're going to ram their opinion down someone's throat, or they've got to listen and I've got to change their mind. No, you don't have to change anyone's mind. Go in and share your opinions and your thoughts. Absolutely. Don't go in angrily and divisive and all of these other things. Go in with curiosity. And if you don't agree with that person's opinion that you're speaking with, ask them why. How did you arrive at that opinion?
Sure.
Why do you think the way you do? Be curious, ask questions. Don't go
Sure.
into a conversation with the point with trying to change someone's mind. You may walk away from that conversation with a completely different perspective that you never even imagined. I'm not saying they'll change your mind or you go in to change their mind. Go in to just have an open conversation and listen, like really attentively, actively listen to what that person's saying.
Wow. And that's again going back down to simple,
Hmm.
basic things, right? And
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that women are less heard or men are more heard. It's not a competition, but
Hmm.
if you are able to work on yourself and make it a consistent effort, and it's
Hmm.
not easy, it's not linear, you might hit some roadblocks, you might end up in an argument, but
Hmm.
if you rebalance with the
Hmm.
communication piece and speak with an open mind and an open
Hmm.
heart, you will also dissipate the ego that gets engaged between the male and female counterparts. You will
Hmm.
be able to find a bridge through the conversation that you're having, through heart-based, heart-centered, active listening.
Hmm.
Sometimes I think the collectives are confused from the perspective of there's so much out there trying
Hmm.
to identify what a female needs and healing this and doing that. And I'm part of that space, so I'm not downplaying that. But the problem, I think, is it's so much information and we forget our values. So
Yeah.
our values are going to provide that bridge,
Hmm.
and communication has to be one of them.
For
100%
sure.
agree
For
with you.
sure. I know
100%.
I went off on a tangent there, but it is all tied in. I mean, I think men are struggling. I think men are having a hard time. I personally, I'm okay as a man. I'm not struggling. I'm okay. I mean, like I said, I think a big part of the reason why I'm not struggling in that way is because I'm always
Yes.
surrounded by women. So, and I mean, I've had the opportunity to sit and speak with over 800 women. So, I mean, that right there, you can't pay for that education or that experience. You cannot
Yes.
buy that. So I am so grateful for every one of the women, you included, Rajni, because you were on my podcast,
Oh,
for
thank you.
having the opportunity to sit and share in their story, hear their
Sure.
struggles, hear what they've been through. So I'm a unicorn. We'll use the word unicorn. I'm a
Yes,
magical
you
unicorn
are.
because I have that experience of sitting with women, being raised by two women. And I know there are other men that were raised by single moms. I'm absolutely. But I think if you speak to most men who were raised by single moms, they will have a
Mm.
very similar perspective to what I have. They just may not have that experience of 800 conversations
Yes.
with women,
Fair enough.
right? But
Yeah.
I think that, we do. It comes down to communication. We need to learn to listen. So many people think they are good listeners and they're not. It is
Yes.
a skill set. I constantly have to work on listening. I have to
Sure.
work on these skill sets. This is why I
Yeah.
developed the HEAR method, the heart-led listening method, is because it's important. This is part of the foundation for it. So I need to continually work on it. It's not, again, it's the same thing as healing. It's not a one and done. So there's always work to do, and I'm constantly working on these things. I'm constantly learning to listen better, and this is what we need to do. It comes back to the very simple basic of communication. We need to hear each other, stop pointing fingers at one another. Blaming each other is not going to get us anywhere. It's not going to solve anything. We are just going to stay stuck where we are. And if we want to have impact in this world, because I believe that that is another piece of why we're all here, is to create impact in the world through our work, through our natural being, through our skill sets, through our superpowers. We all have superpowers. Every single one of us on this planet has superpowers. The first one that everyone has is no one else is you. You are unique. Nobody is you. Nobody has your DNA.
No.
No one is the magical being that you are. So that's your
Sure.
first one. Then it's a matter of, again, tying back to sitting with yourself, figure out what your purpose is here. Roshni, I wish that I could help every single person on this planet find their purpose, because there is nothing more beautiful. I compare it to winning the lottery twice. I found my purpose. I didn't
Yes.
find mine till later in life. I found mine when I was in my late 40s.
Sure.
And it's like winning the lottery. First, to have found my purpose, because you think about all the people in the world that never do.
Yes.
Secondly, when that purpose you have found, when that work, that thing that lights you up, whatever it is, impacts people, that's winning the lottery the second time. This is what we're all here for, is to have impact. We're here to support each other and cheerlead each other. Enough with the hatredness, the hatred and the divisiveness. I know it sounds hippy dippy and airy fairy and all of the things, but it's a basic human need and want. We all just want to be seen and heard. Can't we all just get along honestly? I mean, John Lennon and Paul McCartney had it right back in the 60s. All we need is love. Love
Yeah.
is the highest vibration on the planet. And
Oh,
again, I know it
yes.
sounds woo and all these things, and that's not everybody's cup of tea, but when you break it down, love, that's it. That's all we all want, and to be
Yes.
seen and heard.
And we like the woo. You know why? Because the
Hmm.
woo works. We like
Yes.
that frequency. We like that frequency of love because when you feel it, it's the most beautiful thing in the
Hmm.
world that
Hmm.
you can access. And everybody can access it. Just because the world is dense, the matrix is dense,
Hmm.
uh, different systems are dense, that doesn't mean you don't access it. What it means is that you sit, become your own best friend, you sit with
Hmm.
yourself and start within here. Then step forward and start affecting change in the way that you feel is needed. You help to heal, you help yourself to heal. Once you start doing that, you express this, is that it ripples out to your communities, your job, and to your to the world at large. This
Hmm.
is not I don't think this is hard. I really don't think it's hard. And does it sound a little bit like unicorny? Yeah, sure.
Hmm.
Of course it does, because oh, what can two people, or what can Brad do, or what can Roshni do? It's not about being a silo and
Hmm.
affecting it. It's
Hmm.
not about that. Once you become your own best friend, your own broski, you will be able to see and attract the
Hmm.
right people to you. And your heart space starts kind of, you're building this muscle, this awareness
Yeah.
muscle around
Hmm.
you, right?
I
Um,
used to think that. I used to think, what can I do? How am I going to make any change? And
exactly.
yes, you can, because it starts with you, and then you gather heart and like-minded people along the way that think
You
that are
do.
of like heart and like mind, and you work together as a collective to raise the vibration and to do better in the world and to do good in the world. And you find your support team, you find your cheerleaders, and surround yourself with them. We can't do this alone. Nobody can do it alone. So even if it's a team of two or three or one cheerleader, somebody in your corner to support you and that you can also support, and then it just ripples out to the world.
I love that. In closing,
Hmm.
and I could talk to you for 72 hours straight. I might need a bathroom break, but I can do that.
Bio breaks, yes.
Bio break. I love that. Um, what is a word that comes to mind that could inspire women and men today? It could be the same word, or you could choose a word for them, for our male counterparts, female counterparts, anybody in between, no problem. What is one word that could help inspire?
Mm. I've got a few come to mind, actually.
We can do a few. That's good.
Love,
Yes.
impact, belief, trust,
Yes.
and allow.
Ooh. Wow. That actually spells like a cool acronym, a leap. I that's my phonetics coming up. My teacher training coming up. I uh Brad, the work that you do is making an impact. I felt it in this podcast interview. I felt it when I podcasted with you, and we are absolutely blessed to support you and to have you seen here on Light Speaks. And if you are interested in tuning in, please keep in mind that our podcast is available on podbean.com. And here at Stillfire Healing, we are always amplifying health and wellness. And today we amplified Brad Walsh from Toronto from Empowerography. So thank you, Brad, for joining us.
Thank you so much, Rashi. It was an absolute pleasure. Every time we get together and talk, it's always
I
a
know.
beautiful and powerful and inspiring conversation. So I just say thank you for the platform that you have built with Light Speaks and for amplifying everybody's voice that you amplify. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be here and to share my experiences and the work that I do with your audience. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're welcome.